Hello, my fellow thrivers. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all having a wonderful week so far. I hope that you are all taking care of yourselves for so many reasons. And so we are at the end of my journey. Last week was the final, like, part 100 million. But as always, if you pop on in real time, say hello. If you watch this in a replay, say hello so I can at least say hi back. So, after all that I had gone through, what broke me was surviving. And part of it was the expectations did not meet my reality, right? So, for 5 years, am fighting, and then I live, and all I'm hearing throughout this 5 year journey, because no one was talking about it, was how great it was going to be when I finished. And I was like, oh my God, I'm there, I'm done. And then I was like, I feel awful. I I felt worse. I was riddled with fear and anxiety. I was paralyzed by it. I was doing some very odd things because of it. Because I didn't want to jinx my cancer to come back. I would wake up in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. I was taking Ativan like they were Tic Tacs, like they were candy. Um, I was I was a mess, and I expected sunshine and rainbows, and that reality was so far from it. And because when I survived, I was 35-ish, I thought that I was the problem. I thought I was broken. I thought that something was wrong with me because everyone that I had met throughout my journey was like, "Oh, wait till you're done. It's going to be great." No one talked about fear. No one talked about the anxiety. No one talked about um any of that. They were just like, "Just wait till you're done." And I was like, "Great. Okay. I'll get there." And then I get there, and I'm gritting my teeth through every day. I am white knuckling life again. And what had happened that really brought this to a head was I came home. You know, I was working. I worked in corporate America. I had a 2 hour daily commute. I had an hour commute there. I had an hour and a half commute back, depending on traffic. And I came home after work one day and I dropped my bag on the floor and I just started sobbing. I fell to my knees and I was crying. And my husband at the time, he's now my ex-husband, um, was like, "What's wrong?" He thought like either something happened at work or in the car, like I got in no accident or something. And I'm like, no, no. I'm like, I, and as I'm crying on the floor, sobbing, I go, I am not okay. And it was the first time that I had admitted throughout the entire journey and even surviving that I wasn't okay. I was so far from okay. I was a shell of who I was, and I just thought I was about dying all the time. And I was like, I can't deal with this. And I had all these questions about, like, why is it that I could get through treatment so well, but here I am surviving and I am fucking failing. I am failing so hard that I am literally having a nervous breakdown. And that night, I'm not gonna lie, I was in a very deep, dark place. And I called my therapist, who literally was like, call me anytime. And I was like, okay. So I call her, doesn't answer her phone. By the way, doesn't call me back for 2 days. That's a side note. So I call her, nothing. It gets worse. It keeps getting worse, right? The build up, the build up. And I'm like, I'm not okay. This is not okay. Like, I'm not in a good place. And I'm like freaking out because I don't know what to do with this. I don't even know how to handle it. And at the time, my ex-husband was like, I don't know what to do. And I ended up grabbing a bottle of pills because I had all this medication, a full bottle of morphine, and I locked myself in the bathroom. That's how bad it was for me. And The weight was crushing me. And so my ex-husband had to break down the bathroom door and literally pry medication out of my hand that I was about to swallow. Because in that moment, I would have rather died than survived, even though I had gone through a stroke, 3-time cancers, cancer relapsing, all these things. I got through it. I made it through in like such a good place. And here I was fucking just wanting to die. I was in such a deep, dark hole. And my ex-husband, we couldn't have doors on our, for a while. I wasn't allowed to have doors. He called his mom and my dad, and both came over, and I was so embarrassed in front of them. I was so embarrassed to be so strong during cancer and failing at living. That's how I saw it. That's how I saw what was happening to me. And that night, I'm crying. Sorry, that's my dog. I'm crying face down in a pillow. My dad goes, "It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. It's okay." Which is what I wish he would have said when I was dying. And I just said back to him, I go, "It's not okay. It's not going to be okay." And in that moment that I was like crying, and I just thought to myself, fuck, no one's going to help me. There's nothing anybody can do. I have to figure it out myself. I'm going to have to do the work to figure it out. And I was like, "You've been here before. Put your big girl pants on." I go, "Because you're not going to fucking make it otherwise." And that's the truth. So the next day, everyone told me, "Don't go to work. Don't go to work." I got up. I went to work. I don't think I worked an ounce that day. I don't think I worked at all. And I put together a very, very, very imperfect plan. And I followed what my gut instinct was. I knew how to rebuild my physical body. I'd done that multiple times because of a stroke too. And fitness was always something that I was naturally inclined to. I grew up playing sports, so I kind of understood that a lot better than the other things. And I ended up telling my therapist, because my ex-husband was like, "You need to tell your therapist." And I was like, "Okay, I'll tell her." And she was like, "I am so sorry I wasn't there." I'm like, "Yeah, and then you didn't call me for 2 days. Like, what the actual F?" So I was really mad at her. Reason number 100. And I wasn't in a good place. And I had to dig myself out of a hole. So I put together this very messy and perfect plan. I was like, physically, I can do the physical requirements to build back strength, to increase my energy, to do all of those things. That I can do. I know how to do that. I've done that before. Okay. The other stuff, the mental and emotional journey that I had to embark on, that was a whole nother story. And I say that's a whole nother story because it was so much more complicated than I had anticipated. And what usually gets us through treatment doesn't usually serve us after treatment. And I made a promise to myself when I relapsed the 3rd time, and I was like, "I don't want to do this again. I promise I made a promise to myself that we are going to do everything we can to prevent this going forward." I also knew the ramifications of going through chemotherapy and radiation would shorten my lifespan. They make you more susceptible and prone to additional cancers. And so I knew all of this information. That, and the 3rd fact for me is that I maxed out lifetime limits for certain, not all, certain chemotherapies. Number one being the red devil, doxorubicin, which is what they give to 90% of cancer patients. And I'm like, I'm a woman. I could get breast cancer. And the number one cancer, can't do certain therapies. I'm a woman. What do I do with all of this, right? So how do I prevent this? Because I don't want to do this again. I'm a strong woman, but I don't want to do that again. And this is what I'm going to explain even further and deeper on what I had done to dig myself out of a physical, mental, and emotional dark place that I was in. It's what I do with my clients as a cancer coach now. It's why I have all the certifications that I have: yoga instructor, cancer exercise specialist, personal trainer, somatic therapist, certified in happiness. I know that's a thing and it's real. Reiki, uh, yoga for oncology. I mean, I had to do all these to fix myself, to get to a better place. As a byproduct of that, my clients benefit. Everyone benefits. Because when one of us reaches the mountaintop, we should be bringing each other with, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to keep explaining why this journey is so much more complicated than you think it is, and why having a really great plan to get you there will help you, because we only have so much time. It's our greatest commodity. We can't make more of it. And I know that I did not want to spend the rest of my life feeling the way I had felt, anxious and afraid, because I don't. Not about cancer. And you can too. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. If you watch this in a replay, please say hello. I will talk to you later.